New Omicron variant, Joe Biden's infrastructure law, carjacking in Chicago. Good evening. The time is 4:30. It is Wednesday, December 1st, and this is Courtney Conroy bringing you your WCCN Hourly News Update, Chicago's most reliable news source. This hour's message is brought to you by our sponsors at Bonnites. For news around the globe, the European Union's medical chief said Tuesday that it's ready to deal with the new Omicron variant, and that it will take 2 weeks to have an indication whether the current COVID-19 vaccine will be able to deal with it. Emma Crook, the executive director of the European Medicine Agency, said that if it does require a new vaccine to counter the Omicron, it will take up to 4 months to have it approved. Elsewhere in Sudan, security forces fired tear gas at an anti-coup protester in the Sudanese capital on Tuesday, as tens of thousands marched in the latest demonstrations against a military takeover that took place last month. Protesters took to the streets of Khartoum and other cities around the country to demand that the armed forces stay out of the government. Heading back to the States, President Joe Biden visited a Minnesota community college Tuesday to highlight how his $1 trillion infrastructure law will create jobs and help train workers. The trip occurs at a crucial pivot point for Biden, who is facing the threat of the new Omicron strain and high levels of inflation, as vital parts of his agenda are still waiting congressional approval. Biden needs to get his nearly $2 trillion social and economic agenda through to Senate. For more news in your nation, NASA called off a spacewalk Tuesday because of the menacing space junk that could puncture an astronaut's suit or damage the International Space Station. 2 U.S. astronauts were set to replace a bad antenna outside of the space station, but late Monday night, Mission Control learned that a piece of orbiting debris might come dangerously close. There wasn't enough time to assess the threat, so station managers delayed the spacewalk for at least a few days. Hitting closer to home, Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown announced Monday that an 11-year-old boy is now in custody for Chicago carjacking earlier this month, calling it a sad state of affairs. The crime took place on Sunday, November 14th, in the parking lot of a Jewel Osco at about 7:45 a.m. The victim was a Chicago police sergeant's wife who was robbed at gunpoint. The stolen vehicle, a 2021 BMW SUV, was located several hours later on the city's south side. More news in the Windy City. The deadline to get Chicago's new ward map is drawn on Wednesday, but 2 days before, there is still nothing for the city council to vote on. A special Chicago City Council meeting is scheduled for Wednesday to introduce and then vote on the new map. But with less than 48 hours to go, those maps are still a work in progress, and a power struggle suggests that they will end up in court. Your WCCN Hourly News Update will continue with sports and weather after a brief message from our sponsors. Did crabgrass and other grassy weeds take over your lawn last year? Prevent weeds from ruining your lawn this year by using Bonnites Dirt Turf Crabgrass Preventer. Bonnites Crabgrass Preventer is available with or without fertilizer and will stop crabgrass and other weeds from growing in your lawn for up to 5 months. By applying Bonnites Crabgrass Preventer now, your existing lawn will be able to fill in those bare spots left over from last year's crabgrass. You'll be well on your way to a great-looking lawn this year. Bonnites products are family-made in America. Get Bonnites Dirt Turf Crabgrass Preventer products at your local hardware, garden center, or store. And in the world of sports, 4 people are dead as violence erupted at the Eastern European Football Cup finals when fans of the clubs from Slovakia came to blows with friends of Latyria. The match ended in a victory for Latyria by a score of 1-0, but immediately following the conclusion of one match, one of the Latyrian players was revealed to be a Doombot, a construction of the autocrat Victor Von Doom. Now for your local WCCN Hourly News forecast. Today we're looking at cloudy skies all morning with seasonally warm temps of 50 degrees. Tomorrow expect an even warmer day with a high of 55 degrees. Don't get too comfortable though, as this week temps will drop into the 20s. Before we wrap things up, remember to test negative, stay positive, and wear a mask. That concludes today's WCCN Hourly News Update, brought to you by our sponsors at Bonnites. The time is now 4:35, and this is Courtney Conroy signing off and wishing you a safe and spectacular evening.